un contexto de alta complejidad social, innovando, repensando la educación para el futuro que ya llegó, para los nuevos tiempos que nos invitan a repensar la educación. Y para poder dar inicio justamente al Global Teacher Prize Chile 2021 en su sexta versión, queremos escucharlo. Pero antes de escucharlo, quiero invitar a todas y todas a que sepan que desde hoy día mismo podemos nominar a esos profesores y profesoras que nos han marcado, que nos han inspirado. Así como Ranjitsinh, sabemos que en Chile hay miles de docentes, especialmente en este año tan complejo, han estado más presentes que nunca, aportando al desarrollo integral de los estudiantes, siendo un apoyo socioemocional y velando por los aprendizajes a pesar de las dificultades, porque sabemos y tenemos que decirlo que ha sido un año difícil, complejo para la docencia, complejo para el país y para la humanidad. Y por eso este premio tiene más sentido que nunca. Y los quiero invitar a hacerlo, estas nominaciones, como les decía a sus profesores, en nominaatuprofe.cl. Es el sitio web que tenemos, nominaatuprofe.cl, donde podrán ustedes nominar a esos profesores y profesoras que los han marcado en este tiempo tan complejo y excepcional. Y queremos también agradecer a las personas que hacen posible que hoy día lancemos la sexta versión del Global Teacher Prize Chile. Queremos agradecer desde Elige Educar, que es la organización que convoca este premio junto a Fundación Barqui, ciertamente a nuestros socios que hacen posible el premio, que son Fundación UNEUS, que además nos permite por segundo año consecutivo tener un premio especial a profesores de música. Queremos también saludar muy especialmente a Caja Los Andes, que se suma por primera vez a este año al Global Teacher Prize Chile. Aprovechamos de saludar también a todos los afiliados de Caja Los Andes que están siguiendo esta transmisión a través del streaming especial al cual convoca esta organización. Saludamos también al Ministerio de Educación, a Fundación Educacional Arauco, a Fundación Educa Araucanía, a Fundación SM y también a UNESCO, que desde hace 2 años apoya el premio en Chile. Ciertamente saludamos también a nuestros media partners, queremos saludar a TVN, queremos saludar a Radio ADN y por supuesto a EMOL TV, que está transmitiendo en vivo este lanzamiento del Global Teacher Prize Chile con la charla magistral de Ranjitsinh Disale, que también será por supuesto transmitida en las plataformas de Elige Educar a través de YouTube, Facebook y otras plataformas. Quiero pedirles también muy especialmente que tengan atención con el idioma. Esta transmisión será en una parte español, que somos quienes estamos acá en Chile, pero la parte de RAN ciertamente será en inglés y ustedes podrán marcar abajo de su tablero de Zoom, quienes están siguiendo la transmisión vía Zoom, el icono interpretación y ahí pueden elegir el canal de español o inglés y también ver ahí los subtítulos. Bueno, ¿y qué queremos hacer hoy día? Contaremos de 2 partes en esta conversación. Primero, escucharemos a Ranjit, que queremos preguntarle cómo es su historia, sus prácticas pedagógicas y qué lecciones nos puede transmitir a Chile. ¿Qué podemos aprender de la India para Chile en un momento tan particular y tan importante y complejo para la pedagogía? Digo particular por la educación en pandemia, pero también está un momento de quiebre en la historia de la humanidad que nos permite repensar una mejor educación para nuevos tiempos. Quiero también recordarles a todas y todos quienes están siguiendo esta participación que pueden comentarnos acá en el chat de Zoom, a quienes estén en esta vía, de dónde vienen, de dónde nos están escuchando, de Chile, Latinoamérica, la India. Queremos saber un poco de ustedes, que por favor puedan actuar en ese Zoom. Y lo mismo quienes están a través de redes sociales, que puedan por favor usar el hashtag que estamos utilizando para el día de hoy, que es más presentes que nunca, en relación al rol importante que han tenido los docentes en este contexto de pandemia. Así que los invitamos a comentar, a presentarse y también a hacernos sus preguntas a medida que Ranjit va comentando, porque al final tendremos un espacio de diálogo. Y en ese espacio de diálogo también tendremos la oportunidad de escuchar a 2 profesores de Chile, a Nadia Valenzuela, ganadora del Global Teacher Prize 2019, y Manuel Calcañi, ganador de la versión 2020, que también están preguntas a Ranjit. Dicho toda esta introducción, quisiera pasar a lo que nos convoca, y para eso antes quisiera saludar especialmente a Agustín Porres. Él es director regional para América Latina de Fundación Barqui, que representa a la organización que convoca el premio globalmente, para que nos dé unas breves palabras de contexto antes de escuchar a Ranjit. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Joaquín. Hi, Ranjit. Great to see you again. Y un gusto saludar hoy a todos los docentes de Chile que nos acompañan en esta búsqueda del mejor maestro. Nos encantaría hacerlo presencial, pero también me acuerdo que hace 5 años nos congelamos de frío en una escuela, porque lo hicimos en esta época, cuando teníamos, Joaquín nos repartió lupas a todos, porque con esto estábamos buscando ese mejor maestro. Y me acuerdo de la lupa, pero no me acuerdo del frío, así que hoy eso nos lo ahorramos. Yo quiero, primero y principal, felicitar a todo el equipo de Elige Educar por hacerlo posible, por no frenar. Digo, no lo frenó la pandemia y no lo frena nada, siguen empujando para adelante en esta tarea tan importante de celebrar a los maestros, de reconocer, de darles ese lugar. Y el premio es un gran camino porque nos invita a todos a hacer lo posible. No es solo el equipo Elige Educar los que van a premiar, los que van a felicitar a estos docentes, sino que todos podemos ser parte, pero también con su trabajo de todos los días, que va mucho más allá del premio y con este foco claro en celebrar y honrar la profesión docente. Así que primero mi felicitación a todos ustedes. Para nosotros es una alegría poder hacer este trabajo juntos y de Chile al mundo y del mundo a Chile, llevar a los finalistas a ser parte del Global Teacher Prize y de la red global en el mundo, pero también esta oportunidad de traer a Ranjit y que Ranjit enriquezca a Chile, como lo han hecho en sus años anteriores Peter, Hanan, Maggie y Andrea, que todos visitaron Chile. Así que felicitaciones al equipo, mucha suerte, es un día de muchas emociones, porque es un día para ponerse contento y empezar con ese entusiasmo de encontrar, ¿no? De sacar la lupa y buscarlo y darnos el tiempo para eso. Así que los felicito, les deseo mucha suerte a todos los que formen parte del concurso, pero más allá de la competencia, enfoquémonos en busquemos los miles de maestros excepcionales que hay en Chile y pongámoslo sobre el escenario, que de esto se trata el premio. Muchas gracias y que arranque esa búsqueda.
Muchas gracias a Agustín Porres y Fundación Barqui por esta iniciativa global que nos permite visibilizar masivamente el rol de los profesores y profesoras. Este premio lo que busca es dar vitrina a un rol que muchas veces es silencioso, que muchas veces no se sabe qué están haciendo los profesores y profesoras, cómo transforman las vidas. Y si bien, por supuesto, hay un premio, lo que más nos interesa es el proceso de visibilización y reconocimiento docente. En ese sentido, cada nominación que llega a un profesor o profesora a través del Global Teacher Prize es ya un gesto de gratitud, de reconocimiento, y es un pequeño premio que anima, que estimula y nos dice, me están valorando, me están reconociendo, y también este premio busca transmitir masiva y públicamente ese rol transformador. Quiero comentar algunos mensajes que nos llegan desde Barcelona, desde Colombia, desde Atlanta. Nos escriben profesores también de Concepción, de La Serena, de Chile. Vemos mucho interés. Quiero destacar acá un comentario de Yerko de La Serena, profesor, que dice: admirable iniciativa de destacar la docencia en tiempos tan complejos como los actuales. Justamente un tiempo tan complejo en que los profesores han estado más presentes que nunca, creemos que es aún más necesario hacer estos gestos de reconocimiento. Bueno, los seguimos invitando a comentar en nuestras redes sociales y también en las preguntas y comentarios para Ranch. Bueno, y llega el momento que estamos esperando, escuchar a Ranjitsinh Disale, ganador del Global Teacher Prize 2020, profesor de la India, un docente que trabaja desde el año 2009 en la misma escuela primaria de Sila Parishad, una escuela que cuando llegó, nos va a contar un poco más, había mucha complejidad social, veíamos una dificultad también en la educación particular de las niñas, donde había muchos matrimonios convenidos o forzados para niños muy jóvenes, y él logra ir dando más oportunidades, ir fortaleciendo la voluntad propia de las niñas y dando oportunidades, innovando también, incorporando códigos QR, utilizando la tecnología, para acercar también el conocimiento al idioma propio de la comunidad en la que ejerce, y finalmente innovando y remeciendo la educación, generando sentido, motivación. Y antes de darle el pase a Ranjit, quiero destacar una frase que dice Ranjit, es que dice, cito, yo digo que mi aula es el mundo. Yo trabajo para los alumnos del mundo entero. Bueno, Ranjit, aquí hay parte del mundo, un mundo que quizás hace unos años no imaginabas estar escuchando, Chile, el sur de Latinoamérica, del mundo, y queremos justamente hoy día también aprender de ti. Aquí hay muchos alumnos también interesados en ver qué de tus prácticas, de tu enseñanza, de tu inspiración, podemos recibir y aprender también en Chile, Latinoamérica y por supuesto el mundo, que nos están escuchando gracias a esta transmisión de Elige Educar con el apoyo de Fundación Barqui, EMOL TV y Caja Los Andes. Ranjit, adelante, te escuchamos.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline, and gracias. Thank you for such a warm welcome. And I'm very honored to be last year's Global Teacher Prize winner. But I was one of a number of teachers shortlisted from all over the world, all of who have changed their lives and made a huge contribution to teaching. I was very pleased to be able to share half of my prize money with other 9 finalists for the 2020 prize. The Global Teacher Prize does not recognize me, but it also shines a light on teachers and teaching profession, and to encourage people to give teachers the respect they deserve and to show how good teaching can change lives for the better. Today I'm here and I'm going to talk about my teaching, my school, my experiences, and what they have taught me about our professions. But I'll begin by telling you a little bit about myself. Some people who grow up to be teacher say that they loved school from the first day when they went. But that wasn't the case with me. Personally, I was not a best behaved student at school, and I didn't like being kept inside all the time in front of a book. And I often wanted to go outside and to do things, experience the things. I also used to ask a lot of questions in a class, and my teachers did not always like this. And I was never interested in grades. I was more interested in learning new skills, discovering rich world that we all are part of. And so far, from the beginning as a teacher, I wanted to change how teaching was done and improve on what I had experienced in the classroom, in the schools. So when I went to teachers training college, I learned a lot from two teachers who convinced me that it could be done differently. I never imagined to be a teacher. I dreamed to be an engineer, but I had to give up my engineering college, and I went back. It was my father's decision who actually pushed me, advised me to join teachers training college. And teachers in the teachers training college have shown me, and I experienced what change teachers can bring in a student's life. They showed me how educators could inspire the students, help them to shape their future. And this was an important lesson that still informs everything I do in the classroom today. Um, I joined my teachers Jilla Parishad Primary School in 2009. And when I first arrived there in 2009, the day one, I still remember, it was 5th of January 2009. And my headmaster took me to my classroom and he showed me, Ranjit, this is your classroom. And I saw the status and the situation. The classroom doesn't look like it. It looked like a cattle shed. And I surprised, I asked him, are you sure this is my classroom? My headmaster said, yes, Ranjit, it's your classroom. You have to teach here. And there I realized what the challenges before me and what I should do here. Another surprising thing was that parents were not complaining about the status of the school. They never trusted in teachers and they never felt education can change their status, change their life. So this was the situation in 2009. It took 6 months for me to get back my classroom. And during those 6 months, I had surveyed the entire village and collected some data. How many people are living, their educational status, their economical status, their cultural background, everything I surveyed and collected data. And based on the data, I analyzed it, and there I come to realize very interesting facts. The percentage of females was greater than the males being educated. And this was really surprising to me. So I decided to take a help of mothers, especially mothers, in teaching learning process. And there I made a plan of action for 5 years, where I should look my classroom after 5 years. And I had set up 3 targets before me. The first was to change parents' indifference toward the education. Second, ensuring 100% attendance of each and every girl in the classroom. And the third, give them quality education so that they could acquire expected learning outcomes. And to achieve these targets, I began to visit every door, every house where my students living, and asking parents, convincing them, requesting them, please do send your kids in the classroom. One day went there, they said, tomorrow we will send. Then again, tomorrow I will go there. And they said, no, not today, tomorrow, come again tomorrow. So it was going every day, but I was determined. I didn't want to give it up. I keep pushing that. And then after around 6 or 7 months later, parents feeling very shy and embarrassing to them that this teacher coming to our house every day just for the sake of our future of our kids, and we're not responding. And then later on, gradually, day by day, students started coming to my school. But the problem, again, new problem come to mind. The language of communication was completely different than mine. Students speaking Kannada, mine speak language of Marathi. It's become very difficult for us. What should I do? So instead of teaching anything to them, I decided to turn my classroom into entertainment zone. I want my students to come here and just enjoy. I bought a laptop and I downloaded so many movies. Every day I was going to schools and students watching the movies, singing songs, dancing, everything was going. Nothing. We were not learning anything. Just come to school and enjoy and then go back to home. So gradually, when they come back to their homes, students started sharing what they have done in the classroom with their friends at home. And those who were not coming to school, they also started thinking, look, my friend going to school and enjoying. He's not doing anything. And I'm doing so much work at home. So it's better to go in the classroom and enjoy. So that entertainment zone was full of crowd, full of my students, full of my girls. And then I started to play a new card. I thought of using technology. I recorded my own lesson in their languages, recorded it, and then I used to show them. Because before few months, they used to watch movies and they were attentive while watching movies. After watching movies, I used to ask them questions based on the movie, based on the song that they have listened. So this is how I gradually started to pitch a lesson or pitch a thought of education, pitch something to learn. And after watching my own videos, we keep discussing with each other. What was that? How it could be done? What is that? This is what. So they were thinking, we have watched a movie of Ranjit sir. Ranjit sir was a hero and we watched his movie. That's what. They never felt we learned science, we learned geography. No, no, they just saw, they were thinking, we watched a movie of Ranjit, that's it. So this is how gradually I catch their attention. And to the help of parents, I initiated a project called Alarm on TV Off. Students are a big fan of TV. They like to watch movies on television as well. But I had set up an alarm on my school's building, and it goes rings at 7 p.m. every night. So this was an indication for parents. Now stop whatever you're doing, turn off your television, and now sit together with your kids. And for 1 hour, after 1 hour at 7, 8 p.m., again alarm will ring. So this means now stop working. But as these parents were illiterate, they don't know how to support, how to help our kids in learning. So I started their meetings, community engagement program, and telling them how they can support to their education of kids, even sitting at home. I started sending a text messages on their mobile devices. And there were some instructions for parents. Tonight, your kids gonna do these things, and you're gonna do these things. So in the afternoon, they come to know what are their duties at night. And according to that, they plan so many things. So this is how I ensured students, even at home, they are learning. The culture, the environment of learning new things still remains at home as well. Because I believe students, parents, and teachers, these are the key important pillars of education. When they join their hands, when they work together, we see the change happens. And this is what I did in my school. I took help from parents, and with their help, I supported learning of my students. I never teach my students. I teach them to learn. I never focus on what to learn. I focus on how to learn. When you realize you're interested in these things, you start learning these things. But at the beginning, you always fail to learn. But I always think failure is the biggest lesson to us, or the biggest success. When you failed, it means you can be successful. With respect to my Global Teacher Prize application, I failed twice. I couldn't make it in top 50. But when for a third time, when I applied, and directly I was selected in top 50. And the same year, I got selected in top 10. And the latter, you know the history. I was the winner. So I always believe when you failed, it means you're opening a door to learn something different in a different way. You look at your failure, it means you need to do something differently. The same thing, do it differently. The same thing I apply in my classroom. While using the technology, I realized that students are becoming more attentive, more curious. So I should give them new learning experiences. Whatever the digital content I created for them, I should give them access even sitting at home. How my students can learn even sitting at home. So I designed QR coded textbooks. You might be surprised to listen, what is this QR coded textbook? But today, I bring this QR coded textbook for you. This is my grade 1 QR coded textbook. So there you can see the QR code is pasted there, right? So this is actually a poem. And when a student scans this QR code, he or she will get audio format of this poem. Just imagine you scan it and listen to a music, listen to a song. It gives immense pleasure for students. Oh, what a great choice. When students want to learn this story of tortoise, and they are expected to scan a QR code, they watch a video explaining a tortoise story. So this is a new learning experience. But just watching a video is not sufficient, not enough. It didn't give me to understand whether my students are learning or not. So I designed this QR code book in such a way so that I can edit the content in a QR code. For instance, just imagine the same QR code of this book. Let me show you. When a student scans this QR code for a first time, he or she will be able to watch the video. And when he submit, I watch the video. The next time when he scans the same QR code, he or she will get online test, online exam he has to pass. Because last time he had watched the video. Now it's time to check the understanding. So this time he will get the test well curated for himself. And when he submit his answers, automatically answers being checked, and I come to know whether my students have understood the concept well or not. So this is how I made.
Ranjit, may
Yes.
I ask you something about what you said? Voy a preguntarle a Ranjit algo para que nos quede más claro este punto. Es muy interesante cómo tú has podido implementar esta tecnología y uso de códigos QR. Y que yo imagino que los profesores y profesoras que nos están escuchando se preguntan, bueno, ¿cómo lograste hacer esta implementación? Tú mismo diseñaste esta tecnología, por una parte, lo implementaste tú mismo, te apoyaste en la escuela, en el equipo del colegio, en el Estado. ¿Cómo lograste implementarlo? ¿En qué tiempo? ¿Cuándo pudiste hacer esto? Y además preguntarte si es que acaso esto ha podido expandirse a otros lugares, a otros colegios, y ha podido ser también una práctica a replicar.
Yeah, I was just coming to your question. I was just telling my teachers what exactly how these books can be helpful to them. Now, coming back to your question, how much time it took or how I designed this course. So at the beginning, myself designed this technology and designed the books for my students. At beginning in around 2016, I created 27 QR codes, printed it on sticker pages and pasted on students' books. and the content I designed or created and then uploaded on the drive. The links of the same content be embedded in a QR codes, and these QR codes being then pasted in a book. After analyzing the result, whether this technology is helping my students to learn or not, after a year-long piloting process, I come to realize this is very, very useful for my students, and it gives them opportunity to learn at their own pace and whenever they want. Just imagine right now, there are around 200 teachers, and I'm just a single person speaking. But all of your style of learning, your style of hearing different. Whatever I'm speaking, all of you are not understanding the same context. Your understanding, your style of learning, style of understanding is completely different. The same thing applies in our classroom. There are 27 editors in my classroom every day, and their learning style is completely different. So we should give them opportunity to learn the way they like to learn. But this usually doesn't happen in the classrooms. We used to deliver a lecture by ourselves and let them learn whatever they want, wherever they want. So this technology is helping my students to learn, give them opportunity to learn at home as well and in the school as well. They can ask questions to me as well. They can learn as many times as they can. For example, if you teach them mathematics or any calculation, any formula in a 30 minutes lesson, but if someone couldn't understand it, whether we give them a chance to learn again, we hardly. But as my lectures being recorded, my students still they can watch the same lesson using the QR codes. So this is how this technology helped my students. I hope I have answered your question. May I go?
Sí, sí. Muchas gracias, Ranjit. Continúa con tu presentación.
Okay. Thank you. So later on, after analyzing the results, I proposed my block education officer that we can do the same things in 300 schools. We applied it, and there also I see, huge change in students learning. Then I proposed my education department in my state. Government of Maharashtra accepted this proposal, and they also did the same thing. They piloted it for 1 year, and later on in 2018, central government of India applied replicated the same idea across the India. It had helped a lot during the pandemic when the schools were closed. Students were not coming to schools, but still they were learning because they have those cardboard textbook in their hands, and they was just scanning it and accessing the content, asking questions to parents, teachers, submitting their answers, checking their understanding. So it helped them a lot. So this is how I initiated some projects to enhance their learning and help them to become more creative. Later on, I initiated a project called virtual field trip. There are so many concepts in our textbook, especially geography subject, just like seven wonders of the world, just like Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Taj Mahal in India. We learn about these monuments, museums, and everything using the pictures or the videos. But just imagine if you could get a chance to go and there in front of Eiffel Tower, and someone from there showing you the entire Eiffel Tower, and you get a chance to ask the question to that teacher. We do the same thing. We do visit all these places virtually. with the network of Microsoft Educator community, I could request the teacher who is living nearby Eiffel Tower, could you please just go for us, go nearby the Eiffel Tower and show us? And by mutual understanding, we plan our lesson. And then the teacher showed us how the Eiffel Tower looks like, the history behind this, everything about Eiffel Tower. Then my students asked them the questions, what they want. We have designed some very new learning experience for my students with the help of this, what do you call, virtual field trips. We have designed a passport, virtual passport for my students while they visit the virtual field trip. So this is our virtual passport for my students. There my students write down the date, where they went, what they have learned, what are the questions they have asked, what were the surprising thing, how much distance they have traveled. This is a documenting what we have learned. So it's not just like an entertainment shown to them. It's learning something and maintaining a record. So when they go back after a couple of months, they still can go to their passport and see the questions, the answers, what they have learned. So customized learning experience, helping my students to dive deep in the context and understand it much better way, listening or the learning from the expert. As I'm teaching to my third and fourth graders in a government school, I had to manage multi-grade classroom and I had to teach them all the subject like mathematics. I'm teaching them mathematics, science, social science, language, everything. But I don't think I'm the expert of all these subjects. So what I do, I ask Maria, you are best in mathematics. So would you like to teach my students mathematics? So I virtually invite Maria when she's teaching mathematics to her students. At the same time, my students got a chance to learn from Maria as well. So she's the expert. At the same time, I do share my skills with Maria's class. I'm expert of science, then I'll teach science to students. So this is how sharing skills, sharing is growing ultimately. And students get a chance to learn from expert, ask them questions. I don't want to be a lone source of knowledge and source of information for my students. I just help them to learn what they wanted to learn. And then it's up to my students. Let them decide with whom they would like to learn and what they wanted to learn. So this is my teaching philosophy actually. Because in my classes, mistakes are expected, respected, and celebrated. We do celebrate our mistakes. We do celebrate our failures as well. Because I rightly said, when you commit a mistake, it means you are taking a chance to learn it again and again. So I never uh, punish my students because they committed a mistake. We do celebrate their mistake. Yes, you committed a mistake. It means you got a chance to learn it again and again. So this is my principle of philosophy behind the teaching. Because I always believe technology is just a mean, not an end. Even I use technology in a differently, but we need teachers. We need teachers, those who use technology much better way. We don't need to be very expert of technology. We should know how to use the technology in the classroom. This is what exactly we should focus on. This COVID-19 has taught us how important technology is. And even without a pandemic, students need a freedom to be able to learn at different times of a day in a different ways. So some people think that if you just throw a technology at problems, they are instantly solved. But I think that is hardly true and ever less often in education as well. So in best cases, technology just makes idea possible that was previously impossible. So the key to any successful innovation is having an original or useful teaching idea that you and then use technology to deliver through online teaching apps or curated content or others. It is never about teach alone. And this is why teachers do not have to be tech expert in order to come up with innovative educational tech ideas. If they have a teaching aim and can think of a creative way to achieve it, this is often enough to make a start. I was always compatible with technology from my childhood, but I still had to learn a lot to make QR code a textbook. That idea worked. Another important thing for teachers to remember is work with a level of technology that your students have access to. Technology which they will find easy to use, not just what might work in a theory. Unfortunately, internet connectivity in many places around the world still seems to be at a low level, particularly in rural areas in developing countries. But when I designed QR coded textbook, I knew there was a single mobile phone per family in my area, and just enough for my children to borrow an hour or two in the evening and do some extra learning. I designed it around the tech that was available to them. What made it successful was its practicality and the fact it solved a teaching problem. Tech what only means, not aimed. However, since then we have done a lot more with the technology. Currently, I am focusing on building a peace army of students. It's a great demonstration how technology can be used to plant the seeds of peace rather than conflict. This project connects students from conflicted countries. For example, it would be from India, Pakistan, Israel, and Palestine. For instance, students from both these countries sit together, are given uh, the role of peace buddies. They discuss why are they fighting, what are the similarities and differences in between them. We invite guest speakers from the peaceful countries, and they share their learnings, how their country become more peaceful, what are the benefits of it. So this is how we can use technology. So despite the political tensions, students continue to be very positive about their peace buddies. This was, you can say, the impact of our project. To build on the success of this project, I aim to give around 20% of my prize money so that we can extend it around 50,000 students to become a part of our peace army. My aim in discussing all these things is to be some of the help to you teachers in Chile, those who are facing the similar problems or difficulties. So let me try and summarize what I've learned over the last decades. What I consistently found is that empowering students, particularly girls, is an essential first step and best gifts you can give as a teacher. We have to look and see what are the real needs rather than coming to teaching with a prefix program of implementation. In my opinion, the most important factor in providing quality education is to create great teachers and empower them to do great things. Outside my school duties, I often engage in teachers training on how to introduce technology. Over the last few years, I have trained thousands of teachers in this way. To get the best out of your students, we must become a teacher of 21st century because students of 21st century are being taught by teachers of 20th century. using that 19th century curriculum on an 18th century techniques. So we should bridge that gap. And this is where role of a teacher and role of a technology comes to play. So finally, although teachers are a very crucial link in this day, but they cannot change the world on their own. Teaching methods I brought to Jila Parishad Primary School were success, but without internet and resources from Indian state or state government of Maharashtra, the lessons learned would have remained local. So the government, NGOs, schools need to collaborate, collect data on successful teaching practices, and ensure that the best use of it is made for the resource. Looking to the future, we as a global society have to realize that failing to educate children in poorer countries will only deepen and postpone the problems facing us this century. To solve these challenges, we are going to need to educate creative leaders of every type and background in every part of the globe. People who can tackle climate change, political unrest, and the problems that flow from growing world populations with fewer resources. This means that 12 years of high quality education for everyone is must. If teachers, governments, private sectors all can work together, we can make this a reality. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Ranjit. Muchas gracias, Ranjit. Qué inspiradoras tus palabras, tu visión sobre la pedagogía, sobre las relaciones humanas, y también qué inspirador conocer parte de tus prácticas, de tus métodos, y de cómo das protagonismo a los estudiantes en la construcción del aprendizaje. Quiero destacar que esto que promueves es que les enseñas a aprender. Creo que eso es algo fundamental de considerar en este paradigma de la educación del siglo XXI, en que necesitamos aprender a aprender, prepararnos a un contexto de muchos cambios, por amenazas que estamos viviendo, como la crisis climática, pero también transformaciones en las formas de relacionarnos en el mundo laboral. Por lo tanto, es fundamental avanzar en esas transformaciones en el aula para desarrollar habilidades propias del siglo XXI, como has dicho. Y llegamos a la segunda parte de este diálogo, y quiero destacar antes de seguir a las más de 150.000 personas que nos están escuchando a través de EMOL TV, que siguen atentamente esta conversación, además de todas las personas que están siguiéndonos en las redes sociales de Elige Educar, Caja Los Andes, y quienes participan en este Zoom. Ranjit, nos han llegado decenas de preguntas, hay mucha inquietud, mucho interés para saber más profundidad lo que tú haces en el aula, con tu comunidad, pero antes de eso queremos escuchar a dos profesores de Chile que también nos puedan comentar desde su perspectiva, desde su realidad, algo que pueda servir también a una pregunta que te quieren hacer cada uno, y quiero para eso dar el pase primero a Nadia Valenzuela, quien ya adelantamos es ganadora del Global Teacher Prize Chile 2019. Nadia es profesora de educación básica, con una expertise particular en ciencias. De hecho, te quiero informar, Ranjit, que Nadia, además, por ejemplo, junto a sus estudiantes, están investigando semillas que puedan crecer en futuras granjas espaciales en una alianza con la NASA. Es una profesora maravillosa, espectacular, ganadora del Global Teacher Prize 2019, desde Angol, el sur de Chile. Te escuchamos, Nadia.
Hola, Ranjit. Primero que todo, felicitarte por tu trabajo tan inspirador. Y quería rescatar una frase que dijiste, que estamos enseñando a niños del siglo XXI con profesores del siglo XX y tecnología del siglo XIX. Y eso, lamentablemente, nos pone un tremendo desafío, porque tenemos que estar a la altura, ¿no es cierto?, de estar enseñando a niños que son prácticamente nativos digitales. Y me quiero tomar de esto, Ranjit, para contarte que yo trabajo en la 9ª región al sur de Chile, y prácticamente hay una enorme brecha digital acá en la zona, cerca de 324.000 niños no cuentan con conexión a Internet y es por esa razón que los profesores deben buscar estrategias alternativas para llegar con materiales a cada uno de ellos en estos tiempos o en estos contextos de pandemia. Y por esa razón te quería preguntar, ¿cuál es la principal problemática que está en tu país y que afecta el proceso de enseñanza-aprendizaje de tus estudiantes? Y además, preguntarte qué legado quieres dejar a las futuras generaciones y cómo quieres que te recuerden tus alumnos.
Thank you, Nadia. And it's good to know your students working with NASA. What a great work you did as a teacher. I am very proud of you. And you got selected as the winner of Global Teacher Prize in Chile. That's good. Coming back to your question, there are so many problems in terms of learning environment, in terms of language, communication language of education. Third problem is poverty, because still so many girls, boys couldn't go to school just because of their living status. Their parents couldn't raise the funds for their education, and working conditions are really at low level, so teachers couldn't find inspiring how we can take it further. So these are some of the problems in terms of education, especially here in India. But as you rightly said, what could be how my students should look at me, or what legacy I should leave behind. I think I want my students to become a good human beings. There are so many wise people, intellectuals, brilliant scholars across the world. But we need human beings, those who support each other, those who help each other, those who have empathy for others. And that was missing in 2020 when we saw the families were collapsed, they have lost their good ones or loved one. And since my beginning of my teaching career, I always focus on nurturing those good human beings. And this is how I want my students to remember me. That Ranjit has told us this lesson. Ranjit has told us to do these things. When I shared my prize money, that was a big prize money, $1 million. And everybody asked me, Ranjit, why are you sharing that money? But I replied to them, my students taught me a lesson. Those who share, they grow. And I follow the same principle. What I learned from my students, I applied in my life. So it's always learning from students as well and helping them to learn. So it's very specifically answering your question, that my students should become a good human beings. They should be remembered that these are the students of Ranjit.
Gracias, Ranjit. Ciertamente es un gran legado, yo creo, para todos los profesores y profesoras, cómo poder permitir que nuestros estudiantes sean finalmente mejores personas, que todos seamos mejores personas para un mejor mundo. Quiero dejarte con Manuel Calcañi, que es el ganador vigente del Global Teacher Prize, profesor de historia, quien también ha utilizado el cine como una herramienta de reflexión pedagógica para promover el pensamiento crítico y habilidades del siglo XXI. En un contexto en Chile estamos pensando críticamente nuestra sociedad y pensando cómo construir una aún mejor también. Manuel.
Gracias, Joaquín. Bueno, en primer lugar, muchas gracias, Ranjit, por tus palabras. La verdad, muy emocionante ver que estamos viviendo un proceso mundial y cómo desde distintos rincones lo estamos intentando hacer lo mejor posible. En relación a eso, mi reflexión iba un poco como por el lado de que la labor del docente y la docente siempre es una labor compleja, ¿cierto? Muy demandante, más aún en contexto de pandemia en que nos hemos tenido que actualizar, flexibilizar, ir buscando distintas formas. Me hace mucho sentido lo que tú planteas de una educación un poco más personalizada, ¿cierto? Como adecuada al contexto. También pienso que es muy importante que los docentes y las docentes estemos siempre capacitándonos, buscando formas de ir mejorando nuestras prácticas, ¿cierto? Y de ir siendo cada vez mejores, ojalá en beneficio de todos los estudiantes con los que nos relacionamos. Y en ese sentido la pedagogía es un trabajo que demanda mucho tiempo, ¿cierto? Que demanda muchas, no sé, pues espacios para ir preparándose, ir preparando tus clases bien, de acuerdo a lo que se necesita, a los materiales que ojalá mejor calcen en cada situación, etc. Entonces, en ese sentido, mi pregunta era un poco como saber cómo son las condiciones laborales de los docentes y las docentes en la India, ¿cierto? Y en particular, y esto yo creo que es algo muy importante, saber cómo tú te las arreglas para hacer tantas cosas, tantos proyectos transformadores, cuidando de tu bienestar integral, cuidando de tu salud mental, porque creo que es muy importante eso en el mundo de la pedagogía, estar bien para poder entregarnos de la mejor forma posible.
Gracias, Manuel. Ranjit, te pido muy brevemente poder comentar, se nos está acabando el tiempo, la pregunta de Manuel, para poder alcanzar a incluir algunas preguntas del público que también están esperando. Muchas gracias. Ranjit, te escuchamos. Si puedes, por favor, comentar la pregunta de Manuel sobre, brevemente sobre cómo te cuidas tú también a ti mismo, tu salud mental haciendo tantas cosas y cómo son las condiciones laborales en India.
Thank you. Actually, I thought you people were discussing, and I was taking a risk. Sorry for that confusion. It's okay. So coming back to Manuel's questions, how I'm taking care of my mental health, managing all these stuffs. I should thank my family who supported me and supporting me, and they're working tirelessly behind the curtains. They're taking care of my dinner, lunch, my food, my exercise, what I like, what I should not work, what I should not do. And nowadays they are planning visitors at my home. So that support of family is actually crucial and very important behind the success, behind the work that I do and I'm doing and I will be doing. Whatever you see, the social well-being, I think when you go back with your loved one, and I relax, I feel relaxed, and I usually every day I do yoga to maintain my concentrations and my mental health, because yoga always help you to prepare in the beginning of every day and keeps my mind cool and calm as cucumber. So beginning my day begins with yoga, and then later on with the work. So this is how I manage my mental health and physical health. So whenever I get a chance, I do chat with my friends, my colleagues, everything. So it's not like being a global teacher now. I'm the star. No, 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 not like that. I'm the same person, the Ranjit, the way I was before and right now.
Gracias, Ranjit. Mira, del público nos llegan muchas preguntas, muchas, tenemos poco tiempo. Afortunadamente nos están dando un poco más de tiempo desde MOL TV porque hay más de casi 160.000 personas conectadas, sigue subiendo la audiencia, así que nos están dando un poco más de tiempo desde este streaming de MOL TV. Entonces, podemos recoger algunas preguntas del público, que me gustaría partir con varias que han aparecido, Ranjit, que tienen que ver con cómo promover, perdón, me dicen que vamos en casi 180.000 visualizaciones siguiendo la transmisión en vivo. Te quería preguntar por algo que es bien propio de la pandemia, pero también que se aplica a todo contexto educativo, que es cómo promover la motivación de los estudiantes en un contexto complejo, cómo mantenerlos atentos, desafiados, y también cómo promover la autorregulación, autocontrol, cómo promover cómo cada estudiante puede también ordenar sus tiempos de aprendizaje para facilitar eso que tú desarrollas, que es el aprender a aprender.
Yeah, that's a good question, Alex. And many educators across the world facing the same problem. How to inspire, how to motivate kids, even sitting at home, they can learn. Oh, this could not be answered just because we all been prepared for the face-to-face teaching, not for the online teaching. And the problems occurred due to that in pre-service teachers training colleges, and that's why teachers fail to motivate, inspire, manage online classes. But I think I would like to share my own personal experience, what I did to inspire, keep them motivating and learning and achieving those expected learning outcomes. Rather than focusing on traditional way of teaching and traditional curriculum, I use project-based learning during that pandemic. And I designed very short project because I realized during this pandemic, students, oh sorry, parents and natures were the safest source of knowledge for my students. So teachers were not a source of knowledge because they are living far away. I don't know about technology, if you could connect with your students. No. But even sitting at home, how they can learn from their parents, learn from the community, and learn from the nature. For example, I give them an activity sheet to measure how much water they have used every day, how much electricity being consumed every day, what was the temperature. So at the end of every week, we used to have a virtual meeting and everyone expected to show their observation sheet. And I started helping them to analyze the data. First thing, they have collected the data. Look, this activities, it has interdisciplinary approach. There is the mathematics behind this. There is a science behind this. There is a social psychology, geography is behind this. So when students started analyzing, I asked them a very simple question. Just try to understand. When a temperature increases by 1 degree, how much amount of water do you use more? How much electricity do you consume more? So there is a relation between use of water and use of electricity with the temperature increase or decrease. And based on this data, they started analyzing it and then measured that this is how they use electricity or water on this. So after analyzing this for 1 month, then I asked them, now calculate how much water we have in your village and how much, since how long we can use it. So they do have the data. They have analyzed it and they made some decision. Now it's the application of knowledge. We have resource of water. Now calculate number of people using it and how long we can use it. If rain doesn't fall, then what are the the precautions we should take start from this. So this makes them more interested in learning, keep motivating. It's a teacher's skill to inspire your students to learn, inspire or motivate your students to learn something different. Do not focus on traditional teaching. You are creative. Just spark the curiosity of your students so that they could become innovative problem solvers. Just go back to my example. And what are the skills I developed? And what I have achieved through it. I didn't require to teach them the mathematics, addition, subtractions, comparison. No, they gradually learned it. So this is what exactly we need to do during this pandemic. Be creative, and so that ultimately students get a chance to learn differently.
Ranjit, muchas gracias. Gran ejemplo, concreto, aterrizado, aplicable también a nuestro país, vinculando los desafíos que viven cotidianamente, desafíos también globales, como el uso de la energía, un bien escaso, con objetivos de aprendizajes. Maravilloso, Ranjit. Hay otras preguntas que nos llegan desde el público que tienen que ver con cómo involucrar más a los padres apoderados en este nuevo paradigma educativo. Ha sido difícil que los padres apoyen estas nuevas ideas y en particular en el caso de tus alumnas mujeres. ¿Cómo ha sido eso para los abogados y padres? ¿Ha sido quizás un choque cultural? ¿Ha habido alguna dificultad en promover estas ideas y cómo has lidiado con quizás una mentalidad, no lo sé, puede ser menos acogedora de parte de los apoderados en el involucramiento de las mujeres y de nuevas metodologías en general?
It might be a different case in Chile. Because what I experienced here in India, teachers are actually respected a lot. Whatever the teachers tell to the parents used to obey, or whatever the instructions being given, they just try to obey, or moreover they discuss it, but ultimately they tends to follow the instructions or what. So when any teachers try to involve the parents community here in India is actually very much excited. They always like to involve in students learning. So it helped me, or it actually eased my work. But as I rightly said, you should have a long-term plan, not like pandemic is happening now just working on parents' relationship. No, it should be a long-term plan so that even the next pandemic happens or something like this happens, our response should not be the same. We should learn from our last or the previous mistakes. So in your case, I don't know what's the situation in Chile, how you support or the parents support your teachings or not. I really don't know the ground reality in Chile, but in India, it's a different case. For instance, if you can arrange parents meeting and try to convince them what exactly you're going to do, what support you are seeking from their end. But I don't think there will be parents who don't want their kids to learn. I don't think anyone is there who doesn't want his kids to learn. Everyone wants his kids or the children should get good education, quality education. So it's up to the teacher skills, how they can pursue, how they can convince parents, and how they can help, how they can take help of parents in teaching learning process. Because as rightly said before, students, parents, and teachers, three important pillars during the pandemic. Now join these pillars, work collectively, and see the better results.
Muchas gracias, Ranjit. Estamos llegando al final de nuestra conversación en este hito de lanzamiento de la sexta versión del Global Teacher Prize Chile, junto a Ranjitsinh Disale, ganador del Global Teacher Prize 2020. Ranjit, en un minuto, ¿qué mensaje quieres transmitir a las más de 193.000 personas que nos están escuchando a través de EMOL TV y también a través de las redes de Elige Educar y de Caja Los Andes? Un mensaje en un minuto a los profesores y profesoras y a la ciudadanía en Chile que te está escuchando. Y en el mundo también nos llegan mensajes de Perú, Colombia, Estados Unidos, de la India también nos llegan saludos. Un minuto tienes a la audiencia.
It's always difficult to convey your message in a 1 minute or in one line because it's very difficult for the teachers. But if you just summarize what I wanted to convey, what message I want to deliver to you guys, I think try to be a teacher of 21st century and look at the world of 2050. Where students or the students, those who are in the classroom right now, they are the leaders of tomorrow. So focus on tomorrow, not for the past. So prepare your students for the future, for the tomorrow. Is a single line message for your students, teachers.
Ranjitsinh Disale, muchas gracias por tu tiempo, por esta inspiración. Nos quedamos con esas palabras, cómo avanzar hacia una educación propia del siglo XXI, pensando en los desafíos que enfrentan hoy y enfrentarán nuestros estudiantes, y eso implica repensar, revisar nuestras prácticas pedagógicas y hacerlas motivantes, estimulantes, y que se conecten con los desafíos de los estudiantes y de los nuevos tiempos. Queremos agradecer a quienes nos escuchan y hacer una invitación. Con esta conversación con Ranjitsinh Disale, damos inicio a la 6ª versión del Global Teacher Prize Chile, y ustedes quienes nos están escuchando pueden ahora mismo nominar a esos profesores y profesoras que, así como Ranjit, así como Nadia y Manuel, nos han inspirado, nos han marcado y nos han permitido aprender mejor el mundo que nos rodea y prepararnos para los nuevos desafíos. Todos invitados a nominar a sus profesores en nominaatuprofe.cl. Así que, como elige educar, queremos agradecerles su presencia y los dejamos invitados a participar del Global Teacher Prize Chile, también a los profesores y profesoras, para que postulen a este premio, y así como Manuel, como Nadia, puedan ser parte también de este prestigioso reconocimiento que busca fortalecer y visibilizar el importante rol de los profesores en la sociedad. Un profesor, una profesora en promedio, en su trayectoria profesional, forma a 5.000 estudiantes. Es un impacto enorme, y por lo mismo necesitamos reconocer, necesitamos visibilizar este rol transformador de los profesores, que además en un contexto de pandemia han estado más presentes que nunca. Como elige educar, junto a Fundación Barqui, a todos quienes nos apoyan, Caja Los Andes, Fundación UNEUS, Fundación SM, Fundación Educa Araucanía, Fundación Arauco, queremos agradecerles, así como el apoyo de UNESCO, PBN, Radio ADN y ciertamente EMOL TV, que ha hecho posible también esta transmisión. Muchas gracias desde Elige Educar, gracias Ranjit por estas inspiradoras palabras, y que tengan un muy buen día, y en tu caso Ranjit, una muy buena tarde. Chao.
I just wanted to create a learning environment for every student that could spark their curiosity and make them innovative problem solvers so that they could contribute to the community. The Paritwadi is mostly known for farming. So we can see that all of them are below poverty level parents. The boys are actually lending the helping hands to their parents. Girls' education is not given that much importance. So education is not a priority. I still remember the day one when I saw the school building, and I saw that this is like indifference of a parents looking at the education. So I started to interact with the parents. I learned their language, participated in their events. So it was like being a member of their community.
परंतु ज्यावेळेस डिसले सर आले त्यावेळेसपासून काय झालं की एक विद्यार्थ्यांना प्रेरणा मिळाली की आपण शाळेमध्ये येऊन शिकलं पाहिजे. पालकांनी त्यामुळं काय केलं की जास्तीत जास्त विद्यार्थ्यांना शाळेमध्ये जास्त वेळ कसे राहतील याकडे लक्ष दिलं.
Even though I'm teaching to 12 and 13 students in a class, but everyone is learning at their own pace. I have made some QR codes on each and every textbook. So when the students scan those QR codes, he or she gets the personalized and well-curated content for himself. Considering his style of learning, I change the content at the back end. So this is how I make their learning personalized. They can challenge themselves. They are not competitors of others. Technology is helping me to bridge that gap between students living in villages and students in cities. Schools are closed, but still our teaching learning process is going on. Right now I'm running my online classes from my home. We are using some video conferencing software, so where my students could join my classes. I just make sure that they are achieving the learning outcomes of a respective class at the end of every year.
मोबाईलवरती क्लास घेत होतो. व्हिडिओ कॉलवरनं आम्ही शिकत होतो. खेळतो, मोबाईलवरचा अभ्यास करतो, सरांनी दिलेली स्वाध्याय पत्रिका सोडवतो.
The major issues is girls getting married at the age of 12 and 13. Girls are not considered to be contributing to the family to change the status. I'm proud to say that in last 10 years, that culture of getting married early age was now completely banned, and I'm very happy to stop that tradition.
अनेक मुलींचे तर लहान वयात लग्न लावायचे, पण मी आई वडील व रणजित सरांची आभारी आहे. त्यांनी आम्हा मुलींना एक आत्मविश्वास दिला.
Girls' education is more than just getting them in the schools. It's more about feeling safe in the community, in the society. I'm really enjoying my job. I'm being a teacher. Now it's like it's my soul. It's my aim of life. Teachers are actually catalysts that can change the society, that can really make the world a much better place that the students would like to live.